Welcome back to another Midnight Who Show review of Doctor Who The Crimson Horror, the Target novelization that was released last year, and is, of course, novelized by the writer of the story, Mark Gatiss. Now, The Crimson Horror is not one of my favorite Doctor Who stories. I don't think it's bad, though. It's not his worst story. You know, that's Sleep No More, but we're not talking about that story today. We're going to be talking about The Crimson Horror. Now, this story involves, of course, a bunch of bodies washing up on the canal, and of course their skin is glowing this red color, and what is the connection to Sweetville? Now, I think this is a pretty decent novelization of the story. And, you know, it follows the story really well. You know, Mark Gatiss knows the story, he's the one who wrote it, and I think he captures how the characters are portrayed in the story, and he also does a really good job capturing the 11th Doctor, which I find is a lot difficult to do in novelization form. A lot of the 11th Doctor's novels I've read, they're not the greatest. This one, I think, is pretty good. Now, I can say an interesting aspect of this story is actually at the very beginning, where it doesn't start with the Crimson Horror. It's actually a completely different adventure with the Paternoster Gang and Jenny's first meeting of the Doctor. And I think that's a very interesting addition to the story. You know, now we get to see a little bit more of Jenny's first interaction with the Doctor, which I thought is a cool addition to this Target novelization. Another aspect I like about this is how he kind of wrote the story through these various characters' perspective. And I really like that because we now get to see how, you know, Jenny's reacting to all the situation, especially when she meets Clara, who she thinks, you know, died in the snowman. So she's kind of like confused what's going on, and we get to see her react to that. That was a really cool thing, and I like how he did it. I mean, he did that by, like, here's the Strax one, you know, here's his little thing with Jenny Flint. So her little recollection of the story, who is narrating this part of it, the story. These various chapters and parts of this book being narrated by the different characters we've met during the Crimson Horror is a really good addition, because it really allows for their perspective on the situation to be shown, and I quite like that. Now, this was a pretty good Target novelization. I actually enjoyed reading it. It made me realize that I don't actually remember much about the Crimson Horror. Maybe I should rewatch that story. But honestly, I quite like the mystery of what's going on. You know, what's going on with these bodies showing up? Why are they glowing red? What's going on with Mrs. Sweet? I like that. A particular scene I really enjoyed was from the perspective of Ada, because we get to see really her side of what's going on, and really her reaction to when she learns that her monster's gone and her interaction with that. I think there's a lot of good additions to that, and I quite like that. So yeah, overall, The Crimson Horror was a pretty enjoyable Target novelization. I think Mark Gatiss did a great job adapting his story. I think I really liked the mystery in this one, and it had a good pacing to it, and a very interesting twist to have a story starting out with a completely different adventure to explain more backstory. Pretty cool addition. So if you've read The Crimson Horror, tell me your thoughts on it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.